gorgeous people, it's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a bonus video for you guys. I have been meaning to get bonus videos out for you guys, and I'm so busy that I haven't been able to. But there are so many projects in my house that need done that I have to do. So why not film them, right? And share them with you guys and hopefully give you guys some inspiration to make some home decor or whatever it is I'm working on for your own home. But in today's video, I have this blank wall in my dining room that I have been meaning to do something with forever, like pretty much since I moved in. And my fiance has threatened so many times to buy a piece of artwork for it. I'm like, no, I'm going to make a piece of artwork for it. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how to make a piece of artwork with toilet paper rolls. Now, I'm sure that you probably have seen this done before on YouTube, Pinterest, or whatever social media channel that you check this stuff out on. And I just wanted to share my take on this. I'm hoping that I can give you some inspiration to use those toilet paper rolls for something other than just throwing them away. I know a lot of people just throw them away, but I think they are so awesome to work with because they accept paint so well. And I love the antique look that you get when you paint them. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use toilet paper rolls to make a piece of artwork for your home. So I know most likely a lot of people will not like the way that I chose to do my artwork, but I'm hoping that you can just take inspiration from what I'm doing and apply it towards something that you would like to have in your home. So without further ado, let's check out how we're going to make this piece of artwork out of toilet paper rolls. Yes, let's do it. Okay guys, so we're going to start with our blank canvas here, which is my dining room wall. It is a complete blank canvas. There's nothing on this wall. There hasn't been anything on this wall since I moved in. So I've got to figure it out because this looks terrible. We need to spice it up. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to take my frame here and I have a 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch circle that I'm going to try to find the center of this frame. So there's little markings where you would hang it horizontally on the wall or vertically on the wall already on the frame. So I'm just going to use those as guidance to find the center of the frame. Now, of course, the right way to do this would be to measure, but I'm not a measure kind of girl. So I'm just roughly going to find the center of the frame using this 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch circle. So here's me just kind of drawing a fake line with my finger, and I'm just, kind of figuring out where I think the center is that way, and there's the center the other way. Looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a Sharpie marker, and I'm going to draw my circle. I also want to notate that there's no glass in my frame because I bought this frame damaged on purpose at Joann Fabrics. The glass was broken, so I just broke the rest of the glass out, and I'm just using that inside part for my artwork. Good to go, right? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the toilet paper rolls. I've protected my surface with some newspaper, and then I'm just going to take my toilet paper roll here and I'm going to cut it in half. Grab my scissors, cut it in half. No special way, does not have to be perfect at all. So just go ahead and cut the toilet paper roll in half. Now, I wasn't sure how many I needed for this project, so I started with 50, but I end up using 104 rolls, so I just add more as I need to. But this little bit here, I just started with 50 toilet paper rolls that I'm going to cut in half. Okay, now that we've cut them all in half, you're going to go ahead and want to put some gloves on because we're going to get started painting these toilet paper rolls. All right, so I have my gloves on. I'm going to grab my paper bowl here and some just cheap paint that I bought at Joann Fabrics. I'm using white because I'm going to do a daisy. So I'm shaking it up really good because honestly, I don't know how old this paint is. So I want to shake it up really good, make sure it's all mixed up in there. And then I'm going to put a generous amount into the bowl. You don't want to put too much in there because it'll dry out. You want to put a good working amount in there to do this part. So now I'm going to grab a makeup sponge and I'm literally just going to start painting these toilet paper rolls. I like to start with the inside because once you put the paint on them and you sit them out to dry, it kind of flattens them out a little bit and makes them a little bit easier to work with. So I always start with the inside because that's where it has the most curve. So I'm just gonna literally slap some paint onto these guys, make sure they're covered all the way around, and then set it aside. The good thing about this paint, or any paint that I've used on these so far, is it dries really fast. I don't know if it just soaks this paint up and dries really fast or what the deal is, but by the time I was through this working stash that I have here, which I'm not sure how many rolls are there, maybe 10 to 15 rolls, it was already dry, so I was able to proceed to the next step. So just keep that in mind, that it dries really fast, so that kind of expedites the process a little bit for you. So once I paint them all on the inside, here we go. I am going to take one of the dry ones and I'm going to paint the other side. Yes, you want to paint both sides of them. And the reason why is because you can absolutely see through the technique that I'm going to do. You can see through to the other side of it if you don't paint both sides. So I go ahead and paint both sides of these. If you're looking for, like a different look where you want one side one color, one side another color, you could do that as well. But I want mine to be all white, so that's what we're going to do. Now that I have that done, I'm also, while I have the paint out, going to go ahead and paint this frame because the look in my dining room is like a play on white and brown. So I figured I would go ahead and show you how I did this, but all I'm literally doing right now is just getting like a base coat of this white onto the frame. So I'm just smearing it on, nothing special here. There's absolutely no technique to this or anything at all. I'm just smearing it onto the frame to get that initial coat. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do like this, I don't know, sponging, dabbing technique situation that you do. And I definitely want to see some of that dark brown through the white paint because that's the look that I have going on in my dining room right now. So I'm just going to dab it, make sure all of the lines are smoothed out. And that's essentially how I decided to paint the frame. Nothing special there. Set it aside, let it dry, and then I'm ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're grabbing our fully dried toilet paper rolls, dried on both sides, and we're going to cut them so that they can form the little petals that I want to make. So I'm going to fold the toilet paper roll in half. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to take that half and I'm going to cut it again. So I'm going to grab that half that fell, and I'm also going to cut that in half again so that you end up with 4 pieces per toilet paper roll. So you cut it, or you fold it in half, and then you cut it in half, and then you take the half and cut it in half again. Okay, so just make sure that you pick up that other half that fell, cut that one in half, and then you have 4 pieces. You're going to do that with all of the toilet paper rolls that you have. So this is kind of what I got going on here now. Awesome. You're going to pick up one of those pieces. You're going to fold each half over each other, whatever way works, so that it looks like this. And then you're just going to bloop, staple it together. Perfect. Now you could glue this together too if you want to, but I find it easier to staple so much faster with a pile like this. So you just fold each one over each other and then you staple it down. Pretty simple. I'm going to do that with the whole stack. Now that I have that part done, we are finally ready to attach it to the frame. So I'm going to show you the technique that I decided to do, but it actually ended up being much more of a pain in the butt than it should have been. But anyway, I'll show you what I did and then I'll show you the right way. I'll tell you the right way rather. So I'm going to go ahead and take my glue gun here and I'm going to put a generous amount of glue onto the petal. I'm going to call them petals, okay? Make it easier on myself. And I'm just going to attach it to the corner of the frame. So my plan is to work from the corner all the way up to the circle. So I'm going to grab my next petal here and I'm going to add a generous amount of glue. And I don't know what was going on with my glue gun, guys, but it kept clogging up. I ended up using a different one midstream during this project and bought a new one when I was done. Awesome. So anyways, you're going to overlap them. See how I overlapped it so that you could not see the staple. You don't want to see any staples when this project is complete. See how I've overlapped it so that you really can't see the staple. So we're going to move on to the next piece and I'm going to show you that I just add a little bit of glue onto there. Well, a generous amount, but not too generous. I hope that makes sense. And then you're just going to hold it into place. Now, I don't show you guys the full length of time that I hold these into place, but you definitely want to make sure that they are secure before you move on, because otherwise it's just going to completely fall off and it's not going to look good at all at that point, is it? So you can use a stronger glue if you would like, if you prefer like an E6000 or something like that, as opposed to the hot glue. You could absolutely do that. But I find I have several projects like these in my house. I find the hot glue works just fine, so I choose to go that route. So I'm just going to proceed working my way up to that circle that I drew in the center of the frame. So I'm almost to the last piece here. I think this might be the last piece I put down. Yes, it is. So see how it overlaps over that circle a little bit? That's fine to overlap, but you don't want to go just before the circle, if that makes sense. So now that I have this row done, I'm just going to move on to the next corner. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did. So you're just going to add some glue, put it in the corner, and then you're just going to continue overlapping all the way till you get to that top part of the circle. So there you go. That one's done. Looking pretty good. I don't know, whatever. So now that you have those two done, I'm going to do the exact same process to the other two corners of the frame. And this is what I have so far. Looking pretty awesome. Yeah, great. Hanging on the wall. Yeah, not. So now we want to fill in the rest of the parts. So my thought was, which I made this way harder than it needed to be, but again, I will tell you the easy way as soon as I finish showing you how I did it. I decided to start from one end and work my way to that center part there. So same process, just worked my way to the center. And then as I looked at it, I was thinking to myself, okay, let's just go ahead and fill in this side. Why don't we just finish filling it in? So I end up kind of, see how I'm tucking the petals in, trying to decide how that would work. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of working. I'll just have to play with it a little bit. And I'm sure that you guys will have to do the same. But essentially, you just want to fill this entire part up with the petals, and you want it to look as good as it possibly can. See how I was going to go under there, but then I decided it was better to go over because there was a little gap at the top there that was really bothering me that I knew I couldn't cover up with anything but a petal. So I just added a petal there first, and now I'm just going to continue working my way through, tucking the petals underneath, making sure that I am hiding those staples so that you cannot see the staple. That is really important, guys, because it totally takes away from the look of this if you can see the staples. So you definitely want to make sure that you're tucking these up far enough to hide the staple. So just do whatever it is you have to do to make that happen. In the process, you're also trying to make this look really full and pretty. So like I said, I really can't give you instruction on how to do that other than I'm just tucking and maneuvering these things any way that I need to make sure that this looks as full as I possibly can. So see how I'm putting that one in there? I go up as far as I possibly can and just hold it into place for what seems like an eternity until it is 100% secure. So I'm just showing you different angles here of how I'm doing this exact same method all throughout this project. So look here, see how I have to go really far up there? Like I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to push it a little more and yes, all the way up in there, push it down into place because I wanted to make sure that I was hiding the brown part of the frame here and also making sure to hide the staple. So I decided to overflow from the frame here. So I thought that looked really good. You guys can do whatever you want, but I thought it looked good to just spill over top of the frame like that. So I added one more to that corner so that I could have that same effect all the way around. I really liked the way that looked. Now you could stop at the very edge of the frame, do whatever you want. It's your project, but I'm just decided that mine looked better if I went ahead and spilled it over the, very edge of the frame there. I liked the way that looked. So everything's fallen into place here. It's looking pretty good. I will maneuver some of these where you can see the staples right now. I'll maneuver them so that you cannot see the staples before I'm done. So looking at this is what I should have done in the first place. So now I'm deciding that I'm going to go ahead and just put these petals all the way around the circle. And guys, I really wish that I had done this from the start. I should have just started with the center circle and worked my way down. That would have been so much easier. And that's the way that I suggest you do it. Don't mess with the corners and all this other stuff that I did. Just go ahead and fill your petals in around the circle and then just, layer them from the center down. That would have been so much easier. And I really wish I would have done it that way to start with. And that's how I end up doing the rest of it once, I get to the very completed stage. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the circle. And then the technique that I just showed you where I was, sticking them underneath each other, working it in, that's what I'm going to do. See how that one came apart? Just add some glue. Stick it on there, good to go. But at any rate, I'm just going to continue around the circle, making sure that I fill every last inch of it, looking pretty good now. And I'm going to do the exact same technique that I've been doing the entire time to fill in the rest of the parts. So this is what I'm left with after that is done. Looking pretty good. I'm excited about it. So now I need to do something with that center. After looking up on the internet what the center of a daisy looks like, I saw that it was like a bright yellow color. So that is what I'm going to do for the center of this piece of artwork. So in order to do that, I grabbed some acrylic caulking, and I apologize for the lighting here. I guess the sun was coming in really strong and I didn't notice it. But I add a really generous amount of the acrylic caulking into this paper bowl, and then I'm using some yellow acrylic paint. This is the cheapy kind that you get anywhere, Walmart, Joann Fabrics, whatever. And you want to mix it up thoroughly. Make sure you mix it up really, really good, guys, because you have to keep in mind that the acrylic caulking is a white color, and you're adding whatever color that you're adding to it is going to dilute because of that. So you're just going to need to add a sufficient amount of color until you get the desired color you're going for. So I end up I think I added 3 squirts to this, generous squirts too, to make sure I got that bright yellow color that I was trying to get for the center of this daisy. So now that that part is complete, we are ready to put it in the center. And I literally just take a plastic spoon and I just plop it into the center of this frame. Now, you want to be really careful on this part and make sure that you don't get the yellow anywhere else, because I have yet to see a white daisy with a tint of yellow anywhere on it. So I just want to make sure that I'm keeping the yellow contained to the center of the flower. So when you're doing this, just be really careful to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere but the center of the flower that you're working on. Unless you're going for that yellow tint look, go for it. I didn't want that. I wanted my petals to be white, so that's why I was trying to be really careful when I was doing this part of it. Okay, now that I scooped every last piece out that I possibly could, and I even scraped the spoon with one of those cheapy sponges, which is what we're going to use to smooth this out. So I take one of those really cheap sponges you can get anywhere, the Dollar Tree, whatever, and I'm just smoothing it out. And you want to make sure that you go over top of those staples, because you do not want to see those staples. That is very important to cover up the staples, because it just doesn't look good. So that is really what I'm focusing on right now, is just smoothing this out to cover up all of the staples that are in the center part here. And I have yet to see a flower in nature that looks perfect. So don't worry about things being completely perfect and crisp right here. You can just do whatever you want. I mean, do whatever you feel looks good. It's art, guys. And as I said in the beginning, art is interpretive. It can be whatever you want it to be, because the petals of a daisy do not look like this, but mine do. Do whatever you want. Just have fun with it. I mean, there's no rules here, which is what's really fun about crafting. There's never any rules with crafting. You do whatever you think works. And that's probably why I love it so much, because you have the freedom to just do whatever you think works. So once I've smoothed it out to the edges here to cover up the staples, I just work in that center, trying to make it as smooth as I possibly can, getting the texture that I want to get with this to the best of my ability. I literally played with this forever, but when I was finally done smoothing it out, I'm just kind of doing these last few parts here. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks good. So I'm going to call it quits and let it dry. And there we go. Boom! It looks so good, guys. Look how it looks like it's kind of like, I don't know, like the wind is blowing those petals. Do you see that effect that's happening here? It looks so cool. And when you sit in certain angles of the living room, it's the dining room, of my dining room, it looks so cool. Like the wind is just blowing this thing, even though there's absolutely no wind at all in my house. I am really happy with the way that this turned out. So, yay! Finally done. Okay, guys, so I am really happy with how that piece of artwork turned out. Now, it did not turn out exactly the way that I saw it in my head, but I'm still really happy with the final result, and it looks so great on that wall. But I do need a little something else on that wall. It's just not filling up that huge blank space that I had. So I will have a follow-up video for you guys with some additional artwork that I'm going to do to put on that wall. It's not going to be with the toilet paper rolls, but it'll just be something that will add the accents that I feel I need on that wall to fill it up, because it's just looking still a little plain, and that piece of artwork kind of, to me, looks out of place. So I'm definitely going to have a video coming up hopefully soon where I'm going to add some additional pieces of artwork to that wall to complete the whole look. But I used a 22 by 26 frame for this project. It took me 104 toilet paper rolls to fill up that frame for my daisy look. Now I know it doesn't look like your traditional daisy, but art is interpretive. It can be whatever you want it to be. So I didn't want the traditional daisy petals. Now you can do that with the toilet paper rolls and or paper towel rolls, and you can just cut the pieces out and paint them. I'm probably going to do one like that as well, but it'll just be on a much smaller scale, so I won't need as many toilet paper rolls and I won't need to have to fill up as much space. So it won't take me as much time to do that, but I definitely think I'm going to do one in the traditional style daisy petals. So look forward to that one coming up in the future as well. Now for this project, I chose to use the toilet paper rolls because I wanted all of my pieces to be cut sort of the same size, and I am not a fan of measuring. I mean, if you guys watch any of my tutorials, I don't like to measure. Even when I'm doing my clothes and stuff, I just kind of throw it on like, it looks good. I just do it. So I don't suggest that you do that, but that's the way that I do things. I'm just not a fan of measuring to a T. So why I decided to use the toilet paper rolls is because I could cut them in half and then half again, and then I get them roughly the same size. Now, if you're going to use paper towel rolls, you'll just have to do additional cuts, which I didn't want to mess with. And when I use the paper towel rolls, I find that my cuts are a little bit smaller, and I wanted them to be just a little bit thicker for the petals interpretation that I was doing for this piece of artwork. So you can do either one, whatever works best for you. I'm just hoping that you can take some ideas from what I was showing you and make some artwork for your own home instead of throwing those toilet paper rolls away. I feel they're so awesome to work with. I also want to note, when you're painting them, I like to use the makeup sponges because you get more coverage. It's faster. I only use 7 makeup sponges total for this, and I get mine at the Dollar Tree in a pack of 30 or 50. So, I mean, they really go a long way. And the reason why you need to change them up as you're working through is because they do start to, they come apart. I guess you can say they start to come apart as you're working on your project. And I really don't want the makeup sponge all over it because then you're wiping it off. It's just a pain in the butt. So I just change them out every time that starts to happen. So that's just another little tip for you guys. And also a final tip is, I found that no matter what paint that you're using on these toilet paper rolls, you're not going to get full coverage. No matter what, the original color of the toilet paper roll is going to come through your final dried project. You can use the expensive paint, you can use cheap paint. Either way, I feel that's going to happen even if you do multiple coats. Even if you do 3 or 4 coats, you're still going to see that original color of that toilet paper roll shining through. Now, I personally like that look. It's like an antique kind of a look. I think it looks really cool, and that's why I like to work with them. But if you guys are thinking that you're going to be able to get full coverage and you're going to do multiple coats, I'm pretty sure you're just going to waste your paint. So if anybody finds a paint that covers them 100%, just let me know in the comments below so that people know what paint that they can use if they want to do it that way. But I have yet to find a paint where the original color of the toilet paper roll isn't shining through. And I say shining through to make it a little more, exciting for the toilet paper roll. But, you're just going to see that original dull brown color coming through. Just saying. I love the look, but for those of you who don't, this project is probably not for you. So now that I got all those disclosures out of there, and the final thing I also wanted to make sure I let you know is the circle that I used for the center in case you have the exact 22 by 26 frame that I was using. It was a 6.5 by 6.5 inch circle that I used in the center of my art piece. Okay. Now that I have all of that boring stuff out of the way, I hope that you found this video helpful or useful in some way. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, do all those things to help other people find this channel. Thanks so much for taking the time to check this out, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye! What's up, gorgeous people? It's Amber. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is the bonus video. No, not the bonus video. One. Is one of the bonus videos that I have been promising you guys in video after video after video, and one of them is finally here. So I have been thinking about, and I'm still thinking, so let's shoot that again. But I just wanted to share my take on this, and hopefully I give you some inspiration to create a piece of artwork for your own home with toilet paper rolls. I mean, why not? I messed up. I don't want to shoot again. And with the paper towel rolls, I would need to keep cutting and cutting and cutting. And I didn't want to mess with that, to be honest with you. So I do have other projects that I use toilet paper rolls for. No, paper towel rolls. Ugh. But I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do. So just make sure you tune into that video because it definitely needs a little bit more on that wall. I feel like it's still empty with just this, I don't know if it's not a sunflower. It's a daisy. So you're definitely going to need to wear gloves when you do that, unless you don't mind getting the paint all over your hands, which I've done many times, but I find it a lot easier to put on a pair of gloves. You know, trial and error. You guys learn through these things. At any rate, I feel that I messed up.